Is Kyle Kuzma better than Ben Simmons? People are starting to wrap their heads around the idea that Kyle Kuzma is better than Lonzo Ball, and that the real Summer League MVP was not Lonzo Ball making all his teammates put the ball in the bucket. The real Summer MVP was Kyle Kuzma, who did put the ball in the bucket. He was only passed to by Lonzo Ball. Kyle Kuzma showing that he doesn't need Lonzo Ball passing him the ball to put magic on the ball to make Kyle Kuzma put the ball in the bucket. I made another video asking if Kyle Kuzma was better than Jason Tatum, and the book is still very much out on that, but it's a lot closer than a lot of people might have thought at first glance. What Tatum has going for him, among other things, is the fact that he's like 3 years younger, so that's going to be a great battle to watch for years to come, because right now Kyle Kuzma blowing away all expectations. I think I had him 30th right at the end of my first round big board, so I paid attention to the combine scrimmages. When someone really flashes in the combine scrimmages, shoots the lights out, you got to take notice a little bit. So Kyle Kuzma 1 year older than Ben Simmons, but he's a true rookie, Ben Simmons being a redshirt rookie, so they're roughly in the same boat developmental wise, but they're actually not, because Kyle Kuzma was later to the game, okay? Ben Simmons, the son of a professional basketball player in Australia. Ben Simmons born with a basketball in his hands, just like Lonzo Ball born with a basketball in his hands. People think that these kids who have been playing all their lives should be compared on a even plane to kids who picked up the game much later with much less experienced parents with a much slower development curve. But the fact is, most of these kids who are born with a basketball in their hands when they're 19-year-old freshmen in college, they're actually a lot more closer to fully developed than you would realize. And projecting untold future development in their games is actually not always very well founded. The fact is, Ben Simmons has been playing the same way since he was about 13 years old. The fact is, Lonzo Ball has been playing the same way since a similar age. So both of these guys riding a wave of incredible hype, right? Incredible hype. And that's because they were born with a basketball in their hands. That's because they flashed early in high school. That's because confirmation bias pushes people to believe extra in kids who flash greatness at a young age. So whether it's Julius Randle, whether it's Lonzo Ball, whether it's Ben Simmons, if these guys flash in high school and then they flash their freshman year in college, everyone's going to want to declare and want to be confirmed right that these guys are future NBA stars with untold upside, even though they've been playing the game for like 19, 18, 17 years. So even though Kyle Kuzma is a year older than Ben Simmons, he actually has much more untapped upside than Ben Simmons does, because he's only been playing for probably 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years compared to the 17, 18, 19 years of Ben Simmons. And being drafted very high can be a curse in itself. These guys get the big head, they think they've accomplished something when they haven't. They become a little bit uncoachable and they lose that hunger that somebody who's always been underrated, like a Kyle Kuzma, these number one, number two, number three guys, they don't always have that hunger. In fact, most of the time they don't. Then you've got the cardio talent, okay? If you were gonna race these guys in a mile around a track 4 times, right? Who would win, Kyle Kuzma or Ben Simmons? It would probably be Kyle Kuzma. So not only does Kuzma have more heart, but I believe he has more cardio talent, and he's able to play it with a higher motor on both ends of the floor for longer than Ben Simmons is. Kyle Kuzma also much more coachable, working on all weaknesses of his game, working on his offhand as much as his strong hand, right? We saw the back-to-back hook shots, one with his left hand and one with his right hand. He's been working on all facets of the game, all weaknesses, committed to that development, committed to getting better. Ben Simmons, on the other hand, has appeared to just think he's going to dominate the same way he did in college without developing his game, Still shooting with the wrong hand, still no left hand around the rim, has not been working on his weaknesses. And we are starting to see that Ben Simmons thought he could just take it easy, coast on his talent that got him through the youth league and the high school and the college, and he thought that was going to translate seamlessly to the NBA. He is finding out differently. Kyle Kuzma with the opposite attitude, that he has to get better at absolutely everything, be the hungriest guy on the floor, and we are seeing the results of that. And if you were drawing up a great player in the NBA, would it be a guy who has no shooting range beyond 5 feet, who is shooting with the wrong hand, who can only finish with one hand around the basket, and who doesn't play defense, and who doesn't have great cardio talent to play with a strong wind without catching his breath all the time after 10 times up and down the court? Would you draw up a dream player who had a great attitude and was willing to work on all of his weaknesses and had the humility and the coachability? Or would you want a guy who thought he was already a dominant player and didn't have to work on weaknesses, didn't think he had any weaknesses, and wasn't willing to work on those weaknesses? Would you want the guy who went to class, or would you want the guy who never went to class? It's just like Lonzo Ball. If you were drawing up a dream point guard, would you want a guy who shot from the left hand of his body with his right hand? Is that really what you would draw up? A guy with a slow first step? A guy with shaky high handles? With no ability to get where he wants to go on the court unless he's got a full head of steam? So I'm sure we'll see this again next year. Oh, by the way, Harry Giles, another guy who flashed early, another guy playing basketball for a long time, another guy who dominated at the younger age, another guy who got drafted too high based on his youth performance. So he didn't even do anything in college. It was all based on high school. Now we find out his knees aren't going to be ready until January, February, when the Kings passed on guys like Caleb Swanigan, Kyle Kuzma, and a lot of other guys, all based on high school reputation. Pathetic. So Kyle Kuzma, he's got the three-point shot. He's got the functional shooting form, the quick high release, the kind that's easily duplicated, not this shaky shooting with the wrong hand, timid, not confident shooting form that Ben Simmons and Lonzo Ball have. You're going to tell me you'd rather have a guy who cannot space the floor whatsoever versus the guy who's got the range out to three-point land, who can finish with both hands around the basket, finish with both hands out to mid-range even with those floaters, Kyle Kuzma, and those hook shots with both hands, and has the better cardio talent, and has the much better attitude, and the better coachability. You're going to tell me you'd rather have Ben Simmons and Kyle Kuzma? If so, let me know in the comments. I'll see you soon. Peace.